What's good, y'all? We are back. Episode 4. Episode 4. We are here for that. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be here the rest of the season. I've been dropping the videos daily so I can get caught up. Please, if you've already watched all 6 episodes, leave the spoilers out of the comments. I'm going episode by episode. I'm watching it episode by episode. Every time you see me, I finally watched the episode. So please leave the spoilers out. But please subscribe. Please thumbs up the video. Please drop your comments down below. I do want to hear y'all's thoughts in regards to what y'all are thinking in regards to these pairs. So please do that. But enough of me talking. Let's go. So we get back to that little cliffhanger scene with Leo pressuring Hannah to pretty much tell him if he proposed, what would she say? Would she say yes? He then starts gaslighting her again, saying essentially like maybe he's not special enough for her, pretty much trying to make him feel bad or make her feel bad for him, trying to play that reverse psychology type thing, like, oh, woe is me, feel bad for me. So she's crying, talking about she's confused. He's performing as he was last night in the episode, being hella dramatic, talking about how he wanted to come and talk to her first, yada yada yada. I said, no, you didn't, because if you did, you would have, like, you would have made it a point to make sure that she knew that she was your number one. But he ends up bringing up her breaking it off with Nick and then kind of rebuilding it back together. And she said like she wasn't sure, and he expressed that he loved her. Like, he was very forthcoming with the fact that he actually wants her, and he is the only one that actually is just all about her. Like, he had no other connection besides her, whereas Leo has Brittany as well. So Leo is saying that he talking about himself is the best person for him. Wait, was he talking about himself? He then asked her, he says, is he the best person for you, or is he the first person to say that he loved you? And he's sitting there telling her, like, if we would have gotten there, if we work on our connection, we can get there as well. We can be unstoppable. Pretty much trying to like hype them up as this power couple. No, you want somebody like him, the way he is and the way she is, it would be destruction. It would literally be destruction. He's a master manipulator, and he would like to control her because he knows that she's insecure. He knows that she's insecure. She is exuding the fact that she is insecure because a little bit of everything that's going on here kind of highlights a lot of their red flag qualities. He's manipulative. He wants to control everything. She is very insecure, and she's going to be taken advantage of because of how insecure she is. Like how she said, and the thing is too, I do honestly feel like she probably really does love Leo more than she does Nick, which is sad for Nick, because I'm going to get on it later on. I feel like, I hope she does not hurt him, because I feel like he actually genuinely cares about her. Whereas I feel like she did what he basically said, like he beat him to the punch. So now that he's pretty much all about her, she took that bait and she was like, yeah, I'm going to do it because he's proven to me that he's all about me. And with her being so insecure and not as strong within herself that she feels like he actually loves me, so maybe I should go with him because he actually is telling me that he loves me. I don't know if she really knows what she wants. That's the thing too. I don't know. But Leo, I don't feel like Leo is all about Hannah. But then again, I just feel like he wants to have his cake and eat it too. But I feel like out of the two, he probably is more into Hannah. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm talking too quick. But he's still gaslighting her, trying to make her feel like she should have waited for him and keep playing the game with her. Like, they're literally playing the same game, like I said. But her dumb ass is sitting there eating it up for a little bit. But then she keeps saying, like, you still have another connection out here. Like, the difference is between Nick, he's all about me. You still have Brittany over here. He says, yes, it's amazing, but I don't feel I would ever have a chance with someone like you in the real world. I'm like, so if that's the case, then why are you still entertaining Brittany? Like, he contradicts himself every time he speaks. But they're both being dramatic. She says she loves both him and Nick. He then says that he loves both of his connections too. So I'm like, so which one is it? Do y'all really love each other, or do y'all really love everybody else? Like, I'm like, y'all are not making it. The way they're trying to act in this moment is as if they're like in some type of forbidden love situation where they love each other and can't get to each other. But then they turn around and say that they love other people. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But he then tells her that if she believes in them at all, tell him right now if he has a shot or not. She starts crying, saying it's confusing again, saying that she's never had these feelings before and it's hard. He then asks the proposition yet again, and she says, I don't know if I would say yes. And like I said, they're playing the same game on each other, essentially. They don't realize it. Well, he realizes it, but I don't think she realizes it. But they're playing the same game. But he ends up asking if she's willing to fight for this because he needs somebody that's willing to fight for love. What y'all don't have. What y'all have is not love. Like, I'm like, nigga, shut up. Shut up. But he then asks to speak to her later on tomorrow. She says yes, but she needs to go to sleep. So she goes out crying. We get a scene with Marissa and Bowden. They're both stating that they feel confident in each other. She tells him that she wants him, or she tells him that she wants her and her husband in the future to read to their kids at least once a week. And he agrees to doing that. As we all know, they both have that connection with their books, their love for books, which I agree. I like that. I've growing up, I was forced to read. My parents made me and my sister read at least once for like 3 hours on a Saturday before we could do anything else that we wanted to do, like watching TV and stuff. We had to read. We had to. But as I got older, I didn't do it. But now that I'm getting older, I do it because you know how you start to feel yourself starting to lose certain things? Like you feel like you need to sharpen your brain a little bit more. That happened to me probably last year. And I've taken up reading again. I read a lot more self-help books. I start reading a lot of like murder mystery type books. I like stuff like that just to keep my mind working. Like you got to read to keep your mind working. But she then asked him like what he feels strongly about that might be controversial. He says like anyone that works 40 hours should have housing, food, and medical. I was like, for you to say that immediately, he just said that out of the blue, but I don't feel like that's controversial. But I don't think he was meaning to say that as the answer for what he feels is controversial. But he then turns around and says that he's a liberal. He's a liberal. He says that he is a liberal. And she says they start talking about Trump supporters and stuff because she had dated that Trump supporter in the past. As we know, she said he supported Trump, but he was a good person. I'm like, supporting Trump kind of says a lot about you because he's not a good person. The things that he stands for, the things that he says about people for just being who they are, that's not a good person. You couldn't dare catch me ever supporting anything he does. But she said the person that she dated was a good person. They start talking about all the reasons to not vote for Trump, pretty much stating that the behavior that he exhibits is not of someone that you would want to lead your country, which is like what I said, like that he's not a good person. But they agree on being the same people, essentially. They're just pretty much like connecting. And that I said in my first couple recaps that I feel like these two will probably be better for each other. But the more I watched this conversation, I realized that they're more like best friends, really. Like I see where she was coming from later on. We'll get to it. But I don't see a romantic spark between the two of them. I see like a really, really good connection, but I don't see a romantic spark, which makes sense later on. But we get a scene with Tim and Alex. She ends up opening a gift that he had given her, and it's a bracelet from his older sister that she had bought his middle sister, and it's basically like a pass down. Like how I have pass downs on right now. Like my dad, this is my dad's jewelry. Like this and my dad, like both of these are my dad's jewelry, and it was passed down to me from my grandma, who is his mother. So, and I'm going to end up doing this too. Like when I have kids, hopefully I have a son, I'll end up being able to pass this stuff down, and I want to keep that tradition going. So essentially that's kind of what he's trying to do with her, because we all know that he wants to give his parents a sister and not a sister, a daughter. He wants to give his parents a daughter. And because obviously he lost his sisters who are their kids. And, he tells her that she won't get to meet them, his sisters, but he knows that they'll love her, and they do love her, and he wanted to give it to her and make it feel proper. And it felt proper to give it to her because he doesn't doubt that she's the right person to have it. He's a very deep person. He's a very deep person. A lot of their conversations are very deep and very heavy. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I feel like they needed more light and shade with their conversations. Even though I'm like, can I really fault him for being super deep? Because if that's his experience and that's his life, at least he's being honest about it. Because say he didn't speak up about this stuff, and later on down the line, and he hadn't spoken up about it, and he might have like certain mood swings or whatever, and she doesn't know certain things like this, it could become an issue. But I do respect him for being able to feel comfortable enough to tell her that, which honestly, I do believe it makes it seem like he loves her. Hopefully everything works out for them down the line. But she's crying as he was stating all this stuff, giving it to her. She thanks him for feeling comfortable enough to give it to her. and she thought it was beautiful. And then they begin to paint. They're like on a painting day right now, and she said, let's paint something that we're both feeling in the moment, and they do that. We then move on to Monica and Steven. I hope nobody gets mad at me for this, but these two are probably the couples that we've seen so far, or the couple that we've seen out of all the couples so far, that I genuinely don't care to talk about, because like they're so goofy. But it's like, which is good for them. I'm glad that they found each other, but I don't really care. Like, I really don't. But she ends up telling him that he's everything she's been hoping and praying for, and she can't believe that she found him. He states how he hasn't been able to stop thinking about her. He gets down on one knee. She starts expressing herself to him, like expressing all of her love that she has to him. And he's nervous, obviously. I just lied. He started expressing, it's Friday, y'all. I've been talking all day at work. He started expressing himself to her as he's proposing and professing his love to her. He then proposes as he was nervous. She then stands up and says she needs to let him know this because she hadn't done it yet. So she pretty much professes her love to him, telling him how much she's waited 36 years for him. He makes her feel safe and seen, showers him with so many praises. She loves the fact that he likes that little bit of blackness that he does have in him. He's taking the time to get to know that part of his culture. So many more things, yada, yada, yada. And she's honored to be his wife. Obviously, she says yes. We then move to Ramsey and Marissa. He then tells her that he's had a lot of emotions going on. He said everything that happened today, it's been a lot, but I've had a lot of emotions. And wanted to see her, and it was the perfect way to close their night. So she starts asking him a bunch of questions, like if he's a handyman, who he likes between Will Ferrell and Adam Sandler. They start going back and forth about who's funniest. She says Will Ferrell's not funny. He says he grew up on Will Ferrell. Honestly, I tend to agree more with her. To be completely honest with you, Will Ferrell has his funny moments, but I don't find him that funny either. But they both didn't realize that they both didn't write each other's ages down, so they don't know how old each other are. So they start going back and forth laughing about, I hope you're not 24 years old, yada, yada, yada. But then they find out she's 31 years old, he's 34. They share each other's birthdays and whatever. He is a Cancer. She then asks him his astrology chart, and she finds out that he's a Cancer Leo. She jolts up because she is so excited. She loves it. And he said, like, we want to get married now because you're so excited. We can do it. This honestly was probably their most relaxed conversation that I feel like they've had. And this is where I started to see where they could actually possibly have a romantic connection. Because I felt like, thinking about it, I didn't feel like either one of her connections felt romantic to me. I felt like she was getting along well with both of them, but I felt like she was getting along more with Bowden than she was Ramsey's. But then here you start to see that there could be something a little bit more than just that good connection. But she goes back and tells Katie and Hannah about his astrology chart, how excited she was about it. Bowden, we get a scene of him in his confessional interview, pretty much stating that he feels like he's Marissa's number one, saying that he's been on so many dates and has a good sense of when some woman actually really likes him. I said, is this foreshadowing? And guess what? It was. Because we get him and Marissa having a conversation, and she comes in and immediately tells him, like, I got to talk to you. Like, I got to tell you something. And she says she now feels very, very sure about how she feels about Ramsey's. That's what he did. He was taken aback because he kind of knew what was coming. But she pretty much said that, like, I want to be honest with you. I have feelings for him, but she pretty much said, I have feelings for you, but my feelings for him are a little bit stronger and a little bit more romantic. And he says that's fair. She's pretty much trying to tell him, like, she wants to focus more on Ramsey, but she couldn't. I think it's Ramses. Is it Ramsey or Ramses? They say Ramses, but the way I've seen this name was Ramses. Maybe, I don't know. But she's struggling trying to get it out, but he finishes it for her, pretty much letting her know that he understands that she wants to focus more on Ramsey. She tells him he's great at handling it, because he was handling it great. She said that she was panicking because he is handling it so great and they do have a strong connection. But she just wanted to be honest with him. She said this is weird because after they had finished, it was kind of like, okay, so what do we do now? He said, let's leave. That's what we do now. So they head out laughing and stuff like friends would do. She then goes and sits down. Hannah then goes and sits down with Alex and Marissa. Alex ends up asking if she ended it with Leo. She says he wouldn't let me do it, which is true. Like, he would not let her do it. And I'm going to say this now. I don't know if some of y'all that watch me, probably that have come from Love Island, tell me if I'm crazy, but I swear Leo, the way he was acting when her trying to break up with him, did it not kind of remind you of how Daya was acting when Cordell was trying to break up with her? Like how she could not let him break up with, she wanted to be the one to break up with him so she could then go run and tell Serena that she's the one that ended it. Leo, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. But Alex ends up asking her that, pretty much that she hates it for Brittany. And Hannah says she does too. And she says she thought that Leo was wonderful, but it felt like he was manipulating her. I'm like, I'm glad you realized it, because that's exactly what he was doing. She says she feels like Brittany deserves to know. And I feel like she does too. She ends up going over there and telling her about him pretty much unloading on her. Said that she didn't know if he was spiraling, but if she was in Hannah's position, if she was in Brittany's position where something like this was going on and Brittany didn't come back and tell her, she'd be like, what the fuck? I need to know that. That's something that I would want to know. Brittany says she appreciates her for telling her that, and they hug, and she did appreciate it. And she said, I need a drink. Brittany is funny. But Leo is talking to Nick D and Steven. I don't know why we keep calling him Nick D, because he's literally the only Nick that we've really seen. But they're talking. They're checking in on him. He ends up telling them that last night Hannah was crying so hard, and he was very direct about needing clarity. I'm like, okay, like you might have been direct about needing clarity, but you weren't direct with her about the way that you quote unquote felt. Like you're claiming to her that you were all about her, but then still saying that you have a connection over here that you're still willing to explore. And you were still giving her ultimatum, so you weren't as direct with her and clear with her to where she had any clarity with the way that you were feeling. But he ends up saying that she was emotional. She couldn't even form words. I said lie again, because she was forming words. Yes, she was emotional. She had to take moments to kind of compose herself, but she had no problem speaking. He's like, you can tell he's trying to make it seem like she is so head over heels for him to have Nick feeling a certain type of way. This moment, you could tell he was trying to plant seeds of doubt in Nick's head about Hannah. Even though I feel like he should have some doubts considering the fact of how insecure she is. That is a red flag. But and how indecisive she is. Like she's very impressionable. Like certain people can say certain things that could sway her opinion. And that comes within that self-esteem. But he then calls Hannah Brittany. Steven caught it. I'm like, you so in love with Hannah that you claim you so in love with her, but you still talking about Brittany. Brittany's still on your mind. But he then does it again. Nick started laughing this time. He's, like I said, he's now strategically trying to talk in a way to make him doubt Hannah. But Nick ends up saying that Hannah reassured him that he is the one for her, talking about him, Nick. Leo claims he's really confused. I'm like, no, you're not confused. You're just scared that you're going to lose one of your options and you want to keep playing this game with them. But Leo then goes to talk to Hannah. He's now apologizing to her for raising his voice when she was in a vulnerable state, and says that he regrets it for the rest of his days. Being so damn dramatic. She says, yeah, it was overwhelming. She's never cried that much in her life and never been treated like that before. She said she felt cornered. I said, that's exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying to corner you in to get you to do what he wanted you to do. But he says, that was on me. That was a horrible side of me. I said, red flag, because that is a side of him that is I feel like it's a side of him that is very much in the forefront. It's not a side that you have to pull out of him. That's something that I feel like he can't hide. But he then asks her if she forgives him. She obviously says yes. She better than me. He thanks her for that. She then proceeds to shower him with praises. I'm like rolling my eyes. But he then throws it back to her. Rolls my eyes. But she then says, like, we have such a great connection, but that feeling that I have with my other person, talking about Nick, is just not there with us. He then starts talking about something, yeah, because we're not compatible. And this is where the day of comparison is coming. He's now saying Nick is better for you. Says that I've known it this entire time. If you knew it this entire time, then what the fuck were you doing last night? Like, what were you doing last night? And then he then says, like, that's exactly how he feels about Brittany. The way that she feels about Nick is the way he feels about Brittany. I said, if that's the case, why the fuck did you do what you did last night? And I said, y'all are crazy, because, like, what is going on with these two? Like, these two aggravate me. Like, Hannah is very much like Chelsea from last season. This man right here, who can I really compare him to? Like, he's literally a master manipulator. I've said it at the beginning of the season, and he is. But he then begs her. He starts begging her to go tell Brittany that they decided to break up mutually. No, you want to do that now because you now realize, okay, you don't have this option. Now you know that's your only other option, and you want to make sure that she's still in your corner so that you have an option. You don't want to leave out of here. Oh, I hope to God Brittany sticks to her guns. I have not seen the rest of the season yet. I hope she sticks to her guns. We're going to get to her in a minute. I was very proud of her at the end, but we'll get to it. But he said, and like I said, he just doesn't want to have a second. He doesn't want to he said that he doesn't want her to feel like she is a second option. Talking about Brittany, which is why he wants Hannah to go in there and say all that stuff. But he then's trying to drive home like we broke up with each other. I'm like, no. But he then proceeds to tell her how much sitting here he's wanted to propose to Brittany. Hannah is rolling her eyes. She said, then why did you do what you did last night? Exactly. He then says that he was mad, but then realized that Brittany is who his heart has always wanted. She's rolling her eyes too. But he then tells her that he told the producers last night to cancel his and Hannah's date. She said, that's not what you told me last night. He also then proceeds to say that he hopes that Brittany chooses him. I hope she doesn't. She said, that's y'all's business. Like, that's what Hannah said. That's y'all's business. I'm not getting involved in that. She can make her own decisions. She's her own woman. She's a fantastic girl. She can make her own decisions. I'm not doing it, period. I said, exactly, Hannah. That's what you needed to say. Let her make that decision herself. You go in there and tell her how he's acting, but let her make that decision. But he said, that's what scares me. We don't have to even continue to talk about this. I'm glad that you found your one, and he's the one for you, and I found mine. He's pretty much saying that condescendingly. Like, you could tell he is butthurt that she is like, I'm not wanting to be with you. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. But he then comes back and tells Nick, she's the one for you, and I'm glad that you got her, and she's yours. Saying all that stuff condescendingly. I'd have hit him in his face if I was Nick. Like, the way he's talking, like, let me keep it moving. Alex and Ashley, they start checking in on Brittany, who is saying, like, she's going to wait and see what Hannah says when she comes back. And she says, like, Leo is in sales, so he could be manipulating me. I said, you better clock it. You smart. Like, you play that dumb role very, very good, but you are smart. You catching it. But Hannah comes back. She comes in and sits down with them. Ashley asks how it was, and she pretty much lets him know, like, he was trying to make it seem like it was a mutual breakup. He's playing the semantics game, sitting there telling her to come back and tell Brittany, like, I'm all about her, and he wants you, and he's in love with you. She said, I'm not going to tell you that he loves you because I don't know. Brittany said, I don't know either. I'm like, I'm glad you said that to her, so she doesn't go in there thinking something that's not true. But we get to Tim and Alex. She comes in. He has roses for her. They see each other's paintings. His looks like a little boy's did it. And she starts laughing. Hers looks semi-professional. She thanks him for the flowers. He ends up reading her a note that he wrote to Alex's father, pretty much asking for her hand in marriage. The proper way, the way you're supposed to do it. Thanking him for raising her the way he has, how beautiful she is, how great she is, how he will continue to protect her, take everything that he is pretty much stating in those vows into account when he is married to Alex. She's crying as he's doing all of this. He asks her to stand up and he proposes. She says, duh, obviously I'm going to marry you. She lets him know as well that she's wearing his sister's bracelets as a symbol of them being there, and he lets her know how much it means to him, and they exchange I love yous, and they're good. We then get to Monica and Steven's first meeting. He comes running to her. They start hugging. She tells him he's so cute. They start kissing. He then walks her to the bench, puts the ring on her finger. She's taking all these deep breaths. They start kissing again. He then tells her again how gorgeous she is. Then this heifer right here started whispering. I said, why are you whispering? Why? And she continued to do it. He started doing it a little bit too. But they started whispering. And then they started kissing. And I feel like watching them, the way they interact, you could tell their quirks kind of complement each other. Like, I feel like I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, would they have worked with anybody else? I don't think so. I felt like they actually did find the best person in the Love is Blind experience for them. We'll see if that lasts, but I feel like they definitely were the two that made the most sense. But they started passionately tonguing each other down. I said, because I'm not watching this. But we get back to Ramsey and Marissa. She's reading his note for her, where he's pretty much talking about how secure and how safe she's made him feel, even though coming into the experience he was worried about having to open up, and knowing early on that she was the one for him. Like, he felt safe around her. Pretty much stated like everything has just been aligning with us coming together. Said that she's the love that he desires, and she gets giddy about that because she loves Bridgerton. I don't watch that stuff, and she pretty much said she loved hearing that and she wanted to hear that. But she said she loves it. She loves him, and she then tells him how she had cut it off with Bowden. He then talks about like him and Bowden's similarities, how they're similar, but they're also two different people, which is why he got in his head a little bit whenever he found out that they were talking. But she then says like she feels like why they would work, talking about her and Ramses, is because he's calm and she's like the extrovert, which is really true because my mom is very much an extrovert and my dad is very much an introvert, which is funny because I'm literally the mix of both. I'm an extroverted introvert. But it just works. Like, my mom is the one that's super like out there, super talkative. My dad is just the one that's super relaxed and super reserved. It works. They've been together for 32 years still. But she said that she feels like they could work because she feels safe to breathe around him. Like, she feels like she can just be calm and safe. And she says her fear, though, is him stopping loving her because of her past experiences. She's never had an issue with getting guys to like her. It's just the longevity part when it comes to like maintaining that long-term relationship. It kind of fizzles out and becomes an issue. She then asks him if everything that she'll be about will be too much. He says, no, like, I think we'll be fine because I love you and I love the person that you are. And she says she'll feel his love every single day. She thanks him for that and said that she just needed to be reassured, and he did that for her. We get to Nick and Hannah. He gets her flowers. They start talking about how scary it is to fall in love. Hannah saying that she's no longer scared. Everything that she could dream of, he is for her. She wants to give her all to him because of how much of just a box of surprises he is essentially to her. Like, he's full of surprises. I truly hope, but I don't see it. I feel like the reason why I don't feel like these two will work is because she's so insecure. I do. I feel like it's going to come up later. I just feel it in my bones. Something's going to happen later on down the line to where she's going to feel insecure about something that's going to make it just not work. Because my sister made the most perfect analogy last night when I was watching it. She said she feels like because she's so insecure that she kind of tries to dim his confidence to kind of get him down to there. And I don't like that. And I feel like that's very true. But she ends up telling him she can't stop thinking about him. He tells her how beautiful she is and she's the most beautiful person that he's ever met, even though he hasn't met her. He then asked her if she liked it. She said that he's good with his words. He asks her to stand. He professes his love for her. He gets down on one knee. She accepts the proposal. They exchange I love yous, and he tells her that's the last time he's getting on one knee, aka talking about, I don't want to get married to nobody else. I want you. They toasted up to being in love with each other, and that's just pretty much it. Like I said, she better not hurt him. I like Nick. I feel like Nick is a very genuine person. I felt like he was very misjudged. I was one of the ones that misjudged him the first episode, but I feel like he's a genuine person. Hopefully he don't make me wrong. Nick, don't disappoint me. But Tim and Alex, we get their first meeting. They come out smiling. He said, I knew you was fine. And she's cheesing. They embrace. They kiss. He puts the ring on her finger. She asks to sit down. She's also like taking deep sighs and deep breaths. They go sit down. He pretty much asked her, like, am I what you imagined? Do I look like what you thought? She said, no. I started laughing, but it wasn't a bad no. It's just like, no, you wasn't what I was thinking he was going to be. But they're smiling. She's taking in these like relieving sighs that she's having. Like they're giving good, like their body language was good. They're leaning into each other, which is a very good sign. They kind of have like a little fun banter too. Like you could tell like his little annoying traits were starting to annoy her, but in a good way, not like the annoying way, like, ugh, I can't stand you, but like the annoying, like, this is what you do type of deal. And he's asking her after he tells her that she looks wonderful, says that he hopes that he isn't ugly. She says no, obviously. They start admiring each other's physical features. They start flirting because her eyes were wandering. Apparently, he said, keep them up. And they start laughing and stuff. It was nice. This was the most that they were actually super lighthearted together than they had the entire experience. And I was like, okay, this is good to see. Their energy felt really, really natural. Hopefully they do good going forward. I want these two to work as well. Don't know how it's going to happen. I feel like right now the ones that I'm most confident in making it is my favorite couple, which is Tyler and Ashley. But we'll see. Hopefully everything goes good. We get a scene of Leo and Nick. He's now sitting there telling Nick how he has to do, pretty much kind of giving Nick his game plan on what he's going to do with Brittany, saying that he just has to show her how much he loves her and pop the question. I said, I hope she says no. We get to the scene. Brittany comes in and she says, oh, how the tables have turned. I said, you better fucking lay into him. He then talks about how he knew walking in it wasn't going to be easy and starts feeding her bullshit about how much he loves her. She said, can I read you this note? She reads him a note. She says, I've never in my life written a letter this long, and if my friends saw it, they wouldn't know who the fuck I was. Basically saying, I ain't never thought so much in my life. I ain't never written so much in my life. Pretty much pointing up that dumb card. But she starts. And she says, I started off writing a letter about love about you. How much I love you. But I crossed it all out. I said, get him. And that's what she did. She was like, she grabbed the tissue because she was getting a little bit emotional. Because you can tell she cares. But she took a minute to compose herself. She said after the second day, he was the main one she was focused on. That is true. She said he was honest about the connections that he had to a certain degree. And had said their connection was tainted by the words that he had said to another lady, the other connection, which is Hannah. And she said, everybody knows what you said. She said that she feels like the other girls feel like Brittany, is settling with being his second option, which is true. Like, he's wanting to be so onto Brittany because he now doesn't have Hannah. Hannah essentially was his first option. But now that he doesn't have Hannah, he now wants to be all in on Brittany. And that's what Brittany said a couple episodes ago she didn't want to have happen, being in competition with a woman and being like the fallback woman. But she pretty much says, like, I had that feeling and I'm hurt. I'm still hurt. And I was like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. She said that was her biggest fear and it happened. He then says at the end, he's still going to tell her how much he loves her and he knows that she loves him. And I said, fuck you. I could have punched that damn TV, boy. But y'all let me know what y'all's thoughts are down below. Please do so. Please subscribe if you are new. Please thumbs up the video if you have not already. And also drop in them comments. As many interactions on the video, as I say, will help push the video out. We want to push the video out, get in the algorithm to get more people to us so we can have more conversations in that comment box. The season's going to start getting crazier now that they are getting out of the pods. So I hope that we get more interactions and get more people down here to have more conversations. But I will see y'all tomorrow because I got 2 games to watch tonight. I got the Connecticut Sun, hopefully getting that second win in the series. And the Vegas Aces might be getting swept. But I'll see y'all then. Peace.